pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky. He finishes his speech and he goes, "Hit it, Rock!" And Set It Off by Boosie Badass played. As a young white man, it was my first time hearing that song, Set It Off. Yeah, we finna set it off. You heard me? I'm finna put you in the trash bag. Tired of all these knowing me right now, for real. You wanna talk shit? You wanna run your mouth? You want some gangster strut your mother in the house? We'll set this job. Yeah. And that was my first time hearing Set It Off. At Samford University, it was the third or fourth week of camp. We were about where teams are right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky. He finishes his...
And here we go. What's happening, baby? You don't know nothing about the Alabama fan base, dude. Oh, man, it's good to be here today. Fine Wednesday, wacky Wednesday. And typically I call it Wacky Wednesday because a lot of storylines tend to die out during the week by the time Wednesday rolls around. But we still got a lot to unpack with the coaching situations in the AFC North. Mike Tomlin, unprecedented exit. We'll continue to unpack that. What will he do? Will he take a TV deal? Will he get another job? A lot of signs are pointing to a certain outcome there for Mike Tomlin. What's going to be the state of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Are they going to have to tear it down and start back over again and be terrible? Shout out to Mr. Grinch knee surgery in the chat right here. What are the Steelers going to do? We'll talk about that. What's John Harbaugh going to do? John Harbaugh seems more inclined to jump back into coaching for whatever reason. They were both at their respective locations for the same amount of time, John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin, but the signs are pointing toward Mike Tomlin maybe not coming back for a year, hopping in a TV booth. So we'll talk about where John Harbaugh may be set to go. We'll talk about this Houston Texans defense a little bit and how they become the most scary unit in all of the league. I don't know, man. I might start rapping to this beat. I love this beat. I won't start rapping. I'll spare you all that. We got a lot of stuff. I don't really want to talk about the Buffalo Bills, but guess what? It could be their year. It could be Josh Allen's year. The last season in Highmark Stadium for the Buffalo Bills could be their first Super Bowl in franchise history. So we'll talk about a little bit about the Buffalo Bills, maybe some national championship talk. I'm hearing Big Ten shillers calling in to SEC talk shows to gloat about the greatness of this Indiana football team, and people are putting them up there with 2019 LSU. They're putting them up there with all these great teams, man. And it's absolutely disgusting to me. I don't want to discredit what Indiana's done this year. I don't want to discredit what Kurt Cignetti's done with this program in such a short time. This is the football era of short turnarounds. It's exactly why I'm so exasperated and put out with the Cincinnati Bengals. All this talk about patience and we don't. It's bad for the organization to have high coaching turnover. It's bad for the organization to have coaches that can't do their job too. And so we're in the football era of fast turnarounds. We're in the era of terrible one year, great the next year. Indiana, they had a good season last year. They didn't make it to where they made it this year. Could be, I believe, one of the first teams in college football history to go 16-0, and people are putting them up there with the 2019 LSU Tigers. Just disgusting comparison, by the way. Absolutely abysmal, blasphemous to compare any team really to that 2019 LSU team. Now, some people equate their definition of a great team by how many pro players they have. I lean towards that side. Some people, they lean towards teams that are great as a team. I think 2019 LSU was great as a team. I think they had way more successful pros than any other college football team I've ever seen, setting aside Urban Meyer's Florida Gators from 2006 to 2009. But you've got, listen, the Big Ten has a chance to three-peat, I believe for the first time ever, as national champions. And you've already got Indiana fans and other fan bases calling in to other shows saying, is this the greatest college football team ever? Is Curt Cignetti the greatest college football coach of all time? And they ain't even won the national championship game yet. Now, I love the way the U plays. I love their physicality. I went to that semifinal game between Miami and Ole Miss. It's 20 minutes from where I sit. That game unfolded. And I think Indiana and their fans, I guarantee you the team's not, but the fans seem to be grossly underestimating how much of a knockdown, drag-out game this national championship's going to be. It's not, I think everybody knows this. I'm probably stating the obvious. It's not going to be an easy win for Indiana. Now, if Indiana goes out there and by some act of God absolutely destroys the U, then we can start talking about, is this one of the greatest college football teams of all time? Still don't think, even if they beat the U by 48 in the national title, God forbid, by the way, even if Indiana beat the U 48-0 in the national title game, I still don't think that you can measure them up to 2019 LSU. I just don't. But the way I look at it is great players. You ain't got no Jamar Chases on this Indiana team. You ain't got no Justin Jeffersons. You damn sure don't have no Joe Burrows. And the list goes on. But again, some people might grade great teams differently than I do. I like to see transformative players. I like to see guys that are going to play in the NFL at a high level for a decade plus. I don't see many of those guys on Indiana's team. Maybe that receiver, number 13, I can't remember his name. He's a great player. He's got a ton of touchdowns. Their back is great. I don't see Mendoza being anything in the NFL. I really don't. I think Mendoza will be a great career backup in the NFL. And it's crazy because the NFL is more quarterback desperate than I think it's ever been. You look at Pittsburgh's situation. You look at a team like the Raiders. You look at who else is vying for a quarterback? Probably Arizona Cardinals move on from Kyler Murray. And that's just off the top of my head. There's the Vikings don't really have their quarterback situation figured out. I would guess, just off the top of my head, probably half the league needs a quarterback right now. And Dante Moore out of Oregon just announced today that he's going back to Oregon. I think the people in his circle and himself looked at the performance against Indiana in the Peach Bowl and said, yeah, your draft stock's cooked right now, dude. Like, you shouldn't come out. And so all of a sudden, you got Ty Simpson, who is not that good, dude, as possibly the second best quarterback in this entire 2026 draft class. It's absolutely astounding. I really don't think that I've seen a worse quarterback class in a long time coming out for the NFL draft. And part of it, too, guys, is that a lot of these kids, majority of these kids, are going to make more money in college as college quarterbacks by a resounding margin than they would on a rookie contract in the NFL. It's insane the times we're in as football fans. Way more money you can make as a college quarterback at really any Power 4 school than you can on a rookie deal unless you're a top 10 pick. Fernando Mendoza, no-brainer, he's a top 10 pick. Like I said, it's the worst quarterback class I've maybe ever seen. There's been some bad ones. I maybe should hesitate to say worst I've ever seen, but it's up there. And all of a sudden, you take Dante Moore out of the picture. He was probably the number 2 guy that was coming off the board. And so you're hearing all these reports. Ty Simpson was offered a ton of money to go to places like Tennessee. I think Ole Miss was in there. The U was in there. And Ty Simpson's turning them all down. He said that it would ruin everything he did at Alabama if he went somewhere else. So at least somebody on this Alabama Crimson Tide team can't be bought. Respect to Ty Simpson for staying loyal, because as the Chris Brown song goes, in college football today, these boys ain't loyal. These boys ain't loyal. So, yeah. So, I mean, pretty cool. Respect to Ty Simpson on that. Apparently, Mike Tomlin walked into the team meeting room yesterday in Pittsburgh and told the team that he was stepping down. And the guys weren't confused. They weren't mad. They weren't sad. Nothing like that. I'm sure some of them were sad. But Mike Tomlin got a standing ovation from his team yesterday. Everybody showed love to him. Mike Tomlin knew that Art Rooney was not going to fire him. He knew that he was going to have to leave in order to restore order in Pittsburgh. And it was needed, and it was really sad to see a 19-year career come to an end. But I think Mike Tomlin's a wise cat. I know he is. And, you know, he got respect from his team, and it was very much due to him. You know, it's just a weird time, man. It's a weird time we're in. John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin. Harbaugh with the Ravens for 18 years. Tomlin with the Steelers for 19 years. Both leave the AFC North in the same years. And think about what kind of culture Mike T built in Pittsburgh when he had 19 years to do so. And like I said, the organization knew that Rooney would never fire him. He knew that it was time. You had tons of boo birds in the stands at Heinz Field, Acrisure, nowadays, Stadium, throughout the game on Monday night. It was just a completely abysmal performance. But I think people underplay how good this Houston Texans defense is. The number 1 defense in the league, bar none. The most suffocating defense in the league. They get in your head. They got Mahomes off his game a couple of weeks ago on the road. They got Will Anderson Jr. They got Danielle Hunter. They got Derek Stingley. They got all these guys, man. And I'm not talking about just regular guys. I'm talking about guys, dude. Derek Stingley's been him since he was 18 years old, starting as a true freshman at LSU. Same goes for Will Anderson, one of these big cats that was a 4 or 5 star coming out of high school, looking probably pro-ready as a senior in high school. Houston's got guys, dude. They've got fellas that run to the ball. I keep bringing up the Sunday night game a couple weeks ago between when Houston went on the road and just mollywopped Mahomes and the Chiefs. And the reason I keep bringing it up is because it was cold as hell that night. And these boys on the Houston Texans defense were still running to the ball like a bunch of killer bees, wanting to put their stinger in something, put their hat on something. And they're running to the ball, and they're rapping, and they're physical about it, and they're finishing to the ground. And I mean, God, boy, it just gets me fired up watching defense be played like that. Because let's be real, in today's NFL and today's rendition of football, man, it's offense-oriented refereeing. Let's just call it how it is. The rules of the game, the judgment calls, targeting, pass interference, roughing the passer, all of these calls, all of these officiating maneuvers are offense-oriented these days. And so with that, inevitably, a lot of defenses are going to play scared. A lot of defenses are not going to play as physical because the thought is if I'm playing physical, I'm going to get tagged for 15. If I'm physical with the receiver in press coverage and I'm bullying him, eventually I'm going to get called for holding. I'm going to get called for PI. If I run up to a guy with the ball, especially if I run up to the quarterback with the ball and I try and lambaste his ass, I'm going to get called for target. It's just the way it is. So it's really refreshing to see a unit play like the Houston Texans play. Look, they started 0-3. I'm pretty sure they ripped off 11 straight. Matt Burke took over as defensive coordinator after week 3 or 4, and he turned the team into number 1 defense. You know, you got, like I said, Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, Derek Stingley, D'Amico Ryan shares the credit with Matt Burke. And the defense is just doing this thing to opposing offense. They're just putting it on them. They're persistent. They're dogged. They don't quit. They drive through ball carriers. And that strikes fear into offenses. It's a psychological game at the end of the day. It's mental warfare. And I think the Houston Texans defense has completely mastered the art of mental warfare going into it. I think this team could run the table. And I'm hearing a lot of different media personalities say the same thing. So that's maybe not even a hot take. But you look at the field, I think Houston could completely shut down the Denver Broncos. I think they're a really dangerous matchup going to New England this weekend. And who does Denver have in the they had the lowest remaining seed. I'm having a brain fart right now. You got New England still in it, Denver still in it, Houston still in it, and Buffalo. So Buffalo will travel to Denver. And Denver might not even make it out of that game. I mean, the way Josh Allen's playing, the way he's putting his team on his back. I mean, we've talked about Josh Allen in this manner before, but I don't think Josh Allen has ever had to put his team on his back quite like he's had to do it as of late for the Buffalo Bills. And I think all those guys know this could be one of the last chances for the Buffalo Bills in Josh Allen's prime window to go and do it. It seems like every time Burrow's in the playoffs with Josh Allen, that's his kryptonite. It seems like Lamar can be his kryptonite sometimes in the postseason. And he beat all of these guys during the regular season. I believe he beat Mahomes. I know he beat Burrow. I know he beat Lamar in week 1 of the season. So maybe they're exercising some of these demons in Buffalo. The organization's never had a Super Bowl before. And even though my ex-girlfriend is from Buffalo and we don't have the best of blood between each other, I think the city of Buffalo deserves a Super Bowl. I don't think many would be able to disagree with me on that. I don't think there's many other cities more deserving that haven't had a Super Bowl before than Buffalo. Cincinnati, too. But back to this Houston Texans defense. Listen. Okay, Marcus Aurelius in the chat. He's 29. He's lost to Burrow once. He's 2-0 versus Lamar in the playoffs. Thank you for that. I wasn't sure if he had lost to Lamar in the playoffs or not. That's Marcus Aurelius 3347 in the chat. Thank you, brother. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're the fastest growing football channel in the land. We talk about pro football, college football. The college football, I want to pivot toward college football more, but the pro football storylines the last couple of days has just been too juicy to stay off. That's dominated most of the show. But listen, I think if there's any team, if I had to pick my top two teams in the AFC, right, I mean, that's hard, man. Of the four remaining, you got the 1 seed in Denver, you got the 2 seed in New England, and then I don't remember what seed Houston is. I don't remember what's Buffalo, I think it's the 6. And that's the story of this NFL playoffs. Any of these teams could do it. I think the hot pick right now is Houston, but I think people are completely forgetting how much Josh Allen puts the whole team on his back. It's such a paradox in such a team-oriented sport like football that one guy can take over a game. But, I mean, you look at that tush-push they ran against Jacksonville on Sunday, and he keeps driving his feet. The offensive linemen are holding him up, and he drives for like 10, 15, maybe it was 20. And you think to yourself, as somebody that knows the game, that type of play is a backbreaker. That type of play, even though it's not a scoring play, even though it'll go down in the stat book as a 15-yard run or a 20-yard run, those happen a decent amount. It's the nature of a play like that where you're only expected to get 1 yard. You're only expected to get 2 yards, but with grit and determination and doggedness, you keep them feet churning. That's why the Miami Hurricanes beat Ole Miss in the Fiesta Bowl. They got a special back in Fletcher. I think that running back from Miami, number 4, I can't remember his first name, Mark Fletcher, number 4, the back for the U. That guy's going to be a special pro. I don't know what his class is. I don't know if he's coming out this year or whenever he's coming out, but whoever gets that back from Miami is going to get a really special player because Ole Miss in the quarterfinal round, the Sugar Bowl, they bullied the bully. Everybody thought Georgia was the most physical football team in the land. I did too. You listen to Kirby Smart's locker room speeches. You listen to the way he talks about physicality to the media, and you're thinking Georgia's the bully. And then I think so. I'm going in a lot of directions right now. I promise I'll tie it all back in. With the Sugar Bowl, the national quarterfinal between Ole Miss and Georgia, I think what happened, yes, Ole Miss bullied them. They bullied the bully. That's why I was bullish on Ole Miss going into the Miami game because I know how physical Miami plays. But I do think that Ole Miss had a lot of unseen juice because it was their first game without Lane. They had something. It wasn't their first game without Lane. Tulane was their first game without Lane. But it was their first game without Lane that was of larger magnitude, let's be honest. And what an embarrassing showing for the SEC in this year's postseason. The only non-SEC head-to-head win of the postseason for the SEC was against Tulane. So I think Ole Miss was riding a lot of that juice, a lot of that anger after Kiffin left. And I think that emotional high kind of had to level itself out a bit, and they just got bullied. So back to my point with Josh Allen was that just this past Thursday, I watched the Fiesta Bowl where Ole Miss's D-line was getting good push up front every play. And if you watch the film and you pause the film right when Mark Fletcher got to the line of scrimmage with the ball, most of these plays, you'd guess he'd get bottled up. You'd pause the film right where he got to the line and say, oh, yeah, he should be tackled here for no gain. Makes contact, play the film, makes contact, and he's driving his legs for an extra 4, an extra 5, and that seemed like every play, 4 to 6. You got him at the line of scrimmage, but just with grit and determination, he keeps him legs churning. Big, strong guy. You got to be big and strong, obviously, to churn your legs through other large guys for 4 to 6 yards. But I think it just broke Ole Miss's back. And I think plays like that, let me get my background back here. Plays like that happened between the Bills and the Jags. And that tush-push play was completely demoralizing for the Jacksonville Jaguars because a play that should go for 1 yard, maybe stopped at the line of scrimmage, goes for 15, goes for 20. And I can say this confidently from my playing days. I was a pass rusher to some extent, and when the coverage is good and you get home or you get close to being home, and then the quarterback with athleticism or physicality is able to just bump out and squeak a play with his legs, it's demoralizing for a defense. I think that's really – and same thing with Caleb Williams. You know, less rushing oriented maybe than Josh Allen, but the throws he makes, it's off schedule plays. That's where the game is going. That's where the game is. It's not where it's going. It's where it is. And the reason I think that off schedule play by quarterbacks is so important in today's game is because at the end of the day, like, football's a game where you're trying to break somebody's will. At its simplest form, we've said this on the show before, at its simplest form in one sentence, football is a game of trying to break the will of the guy across from you. And what better way to break the will of a defense than to give them a moment of hope where they think they've got you. They think they've gotten home on the quarterback. They think they've gotten you bottled up. Big Ben Roethlisberger was great at this. Lamar's pretty good at it. Joe Burrow can be good at it sometimes. The reason an off-schedule quarterback, a quarterback that thrives in the off-schedule playmaking, is the defense gets a little hope. And then in the direst of situations, that quarterback ends up not only making do with what he's got, but ripping off a big gain. And I can say with full confidence, as a former pass rusher, played defense, there's very few things in a football game that are more demoralizing than when you think you've got him, and not only do you not get him, but they rip off 20, they rip off even 10, 15. And that's kind of the nature of football right there. You're trying to break the will of the guy across from you. That's why my will as a Cincinnati Bengals fan is damn near broken, because they dangle the carrot in front of you. They say, look, we re-signed this great generational quarterback. We re-signed this great generational receivers. 2 of them, actually. We got a guy that led the league in sacks in 2024. And we're just going to sell games. We're going to give you a little bit of hope, then we're just going to sell games. That's why Bengals fans are so demoralized, along with the dysfunction, along with the retardation, along with many other things. So let's get back on script here. We've got a little bit of time left. We've got maybe 10, 15 minutes in the show left. Let's get back on script. So what's going to happen with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Or the Pittsburgh – look, I look around the AFC North right now. I'm seeing Bengals fans on Twitter today talking about we've got no excuse to not win the AFC North next year. I feel like they have no excuse to not win it this year. I feel like they had no excuse to not win it in 2024. And it just seems like insanity. What's the definition of insanity? You're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Okay, okay. We got 3 outbound coaches in the AFC North. Zach Taylor is the only one left. I mean, what fucking world do I live in, guys? What world do I live in? 6-11. You notice how I brought it back to the Bengals? It's hard not to bring it back to the Bengals when the topic of discussion in the headlines the last 48 hours is all AFC North coaches. Anything that happens in the division in the AFC North affects Cincinnati. So, of course, I'm going to talk about it. But the state of the Steelers, right, it doesn't seem like Aaron Rodgers is going to come back to Pittsburgh. Will he retire? Will he go somewhere else? I heard Kevin O'Connell, the head coach of the Vikings today, talk about J.J. McCarthy needs competition. Do they bring Aaron Rodgers in? And I would assume Aaron Rodgers wins that job, right? Because J.J. McCarthy, he's just not good, okay? He doesn't have it. He was in a system at Michigan, and they were cheating and all this, other shit, right? I'm not sold on J.J. McCarthy. I will never be sold on J.J. McCarthy. I think it's hard for any fan to be sold on J.J. McCarthy after this 9 meme has permeated throughout the entire internet, the entire NFL season. Every time a quarterback plays bad, they just put the jersey on 9. You guys have all seen, if you guys know ball, you guys all know what image I'm talking about. That fake demon picture of J.J. McCarthy in the locker room after that one win I think he got. He got more than one win, but you guys all know what I'm talking about. Like, it's literally the meme of the year. When somebody would play bad, they'd Photoshop the face and the jersey onto J.J. McCarthy. They call it 9. Nobody takes J.J. McCarthy serious. The fact that Kevin O'Connell, this early in the Vikings offseason, is going to the podium saying that J.J. McCarthy needs competition, what kind of sign is that for how they feel about J.J. McCarthy? I don't even have to ask. It's very clear where everybody stands on J.J. McCarthy. The guy's the same level. I think he's the same caliber talent as Fernando Mendoza. I think he's a career backup. Look, and there's no shit. Think about being a backup quarterback in the NFL. Think about a job like that. You got to put on during practice. You're not expected to go out there and perform under pressure on Sundays, and you're still pulling in probably $500,000 a year, bare minimum. Couple milli, maybe. Is my mic still good? I think my mic's still good. Yeah. Backup quarterback in the NFL is. I'd take that job. Now, if you get thrown into the fire because the guy in front of you gets hurt or whatever, that's a different story. I don't want to be going out there having to make reads and getting Daniil Hunter in my damn face. I don't want that. So, I mean, there's obviously the probability that you could play as a backup in the NFL. But let's say everything's cushy. Let's say you got somebody in front of you and they're not injury prone and they're doing their thing. And you're making a couple $1,000,000 a year to practice. Are you kidding? And you got the red jersey on too. You don't get hit in practice. You can't. I hit a quarterback in practice one time in college, and oh boy, did I get chewed. Oh boy, did I get chewed. I was pass rushing, and I left my feet to try to bat a ball, and his throwing motion went right into my wrist and made like a clapping noise that the entire stadium could hear. Oh boy, did I get chewed. You take food off my table when you do that shit, Dupree. You hear me, boy? So that was not fun. That was the moment I realized college football was a business. It ain't about loving ball anymore. I can't imagine how it is now, because back then, 2015, 2016, nobody was making no money, at least in the open. I think we've all learned that and I hate saying that. I hate saying what I'm about to say. I hate it. But I think we've all learned in recent months, maybe the last year, that the part of the reason that the SEC was dominant was because behind closed doors they had bankroll after bankroll, get money, NIL. Now it's legal. You know what I mean? So let's get back on track here. We've got probably 10 max minutes together for the rest of the day today here. Aaron Rodgers, I believe, will not be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback anymore. And so what do? I've heard people saying that the Steelers need to just tank and throw away the 2026 season. How terrible would that be as a Steelers fan? How terrible. Like, let's think about it. Last 19 years of time, the Steelers have not gone under 500. What does that equal in the draft? That's probably pick 15 to 20 on average. And what quarterback, like, you have to think, has that been a bad thing for Pittsburgh? I don't think so. I value winning now more than anything. I don't buy the narratives of, oh, well, they should have tanked. They should have done this. It's football, man. Why the hell are you playing a game? 2 in the hand, 1 in the hand, or 2 in the bush. I've never bought that. But what I am going to say is Pittsburgh hadn't had a quarterback since Big Ben. Now, if we're talking Aaron Rodgers from 10 years ago, he's the guy. There were people 10 years ago putting Aaron Rodgers up there with Tom Brady, and I think those discussions were warranted. Okay, but now you're looking at him. He's 42. He's got gray stubble on his face. Probably a great presence to have in the locker room, but physically, the capabilities for Aaron Rodgers are limited. I don't think that's a secret at all. Okay, but so I'm not discounting Aaron Rodgers. I'm not double checking Aaron Rodgers. I'm not double checking Aaron Rodgers or his legacy or his career. First ballot Hall of Famer. Okay? But at 42, 43, the physical capabilities are limited. And so that's where the argument of Pittsburgh hasn't had a real quarterback since Big Ben comes in. And why is that? Part of it may be that they haven't gone under 500. I'm contradicting myself back and forth, but like, we have to talk about this. We have to think about this. They have not gone under 500 for the last 19 years. What does that equate to in the draft? Pick 15 to 20. And can we reasonably say that you're going to find your franchise quarterback in picks 15 to 20? Absolutely not. Unless you got just an absolute whiz in the draft. Listen, guys. I'm Ole Miss biased. I love Ole Miss. I love Oxford. You got a quarterback that might have to be coming out of there this year that I don't think is really being respected in the way he deserves to be respected. That's Trinidad Chambliss. I think his appeal is going to get, it's for Trinidad. It's pessimistic. And I don't know if you guys have kept up with the whole saga with Trinidad Chambliss. I updated you guys on that a couple days ago. I don't think I covered it enough to really have the listeners of the show fully understand what's going on there. But basically, Trinidad Chambliss, who we all know now, I first saw Trinidad Chambliss play in September when I went down to Oxford for the LSU game. Had no idea what was going to happen with those two programs in the coming months, but I got acquainted with Trinidad Chambliss, not personally, just watching him in September. And Trinidad apparently had tonsillitis in 2022 when he was at Division D2 Ferris State. And he kept him out, and he hasn't had his medical redshirt year in college football yet. So in college football, you get your redshirt year. That's just if you don't play. And I think they changed those rules under 4 games, whatever. You guys all know what a regular redshirt is. And then you have your medical redshirt. And you're only entitled to medical redshirt if you missed an entire season due to an injury or an illness. And the NCAA has denied Trinidad Chambliss a 6th year of eligibility up to this point because they have not properly, I don't know, the NCAA, what a corrupt organization. All these commissioners, all these university presidents, they've done a terrible job. And college football is currently in disarray because of these university presidents, these commissioners. Completely on them. I mean, you guys ought to hear the Paul Feinbaum show, how they're talking about the state of college football right now. But anyways, Trinidad Chambliss might have to come out for the draft, which is a crazy thing to say. Think about saying something like this 10 years ago. This kid might have to enter the draft like it's a bad thing. But if you're not a top 10 pick in the NFL, you're making more money in college at a Power 4 school as a quarterback. Easily. And so, dang, man, I mean, think about, you got a quarterback desperate NFL right now. Roughly, just off the top of my head, probably half the league needs quarterbacks. Probably half the league. Like, I'm trying to think, Minnesota's probably going to need a quarterback. Las Vegas Raiders need a quarterback. And it's getting to the end of the day. I'm blanking right now on there are a lot more teams that need quarterbacks. I promise I know ball with my pit stained face ass. I think Trinidad, I'm biased, man. But the whole point of what I'm saying is I think Trinidad Chambliss could be a stellar answer for teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if I agree with the take that you need to tank in order to get, like Colin Cowherd was saying earlier, like rich people have debt, Mark Zuckerberg's got mortgages on 12 homes when he could, buy every house on the block. Like, I don't really buy that. Like, in principle, yeah, it's correct. But, like, saying that the Steelers need to tank next year in order to get a franchise quarterback is completely insane to me. You're an NFL organization. The job should be to win games now. Play hard with what you've got, with what's in front of you. So, I don't know what the solution is with Pittsburgh. Like, they put this expensive defense together. They need a more explosive offense. They need to add pieces at skill positions. They could definitely afford to add a couple receivers, and they need a quarterback. We're running low on time, guys. I guess we'll continue to cover this. We didn't even really talk about John Harbaugh. We talked about the Texans defense. We talked about the Bills a little bit. And as we get closer to the divisional rounds, we're in an NFL heavy week. I'd imagine next week will be very college football heavy here on the show. This week, since the national championship's not this week, we're going to be a lot more pro football heavy on the show. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. We're the fastest growing football channel in the land. We cover college and pro football, and we put our own unique, sometimes retarded spin on it. This is In the Jar Football Show. My name is Clark Dupree. You can find us on any audio platform. You can watch replays on YouTube. For now, the show is vertically oriented, so I encourage you to watch it on your phone. The reason we vertically oriented is so that we can be found in the shorts feed and reach new listeners. And one way you could really help us grow is hitting that subscribe button. It's completely free. And I'm not going to jump through the screen or anything like that, but subscribe, damn it. Do it. We're going to be here a long time. And one day you're going to subscribe. If you don't subscribe today, one day you're going to. Because the algorithm probably wouldn't have brought you here if you didn't like ball. And if you like ball, you're going to love our show. We're live Monday through Friday around 6 Eastern. Catch us on Instagram, Daily Clips, In the Jar Clips, TikTok, Clark Dupree, and Twitter, Dupree Show. It's a pretty good deal, guys. All right, I'm heading out. I'm going to jiu-jitsu. I'm competing on February 7th. First competition, no gi, heavyweight. So I might post a vlog about that on this channel as well. So, man, hit the subscribe button. Just hit it, okay? Do it. All right. We'll see you guys.